Alright, this is my submission for Lab 5, which is the game controller. So we're going to start with my code here. With my UART function, where I initialize the UART using two pins to write data to the UART. Um, and then first we hold it in the reset state, configure the clock, determine the baud rate, which is 9600 in this case, and use the table from the datasheet to know what value to write to the register, the UCA1MCTLW register. We exit the reset state, and then we enable the interrupt for the UART. And then down here, I have my write UART function, which writes to the TX buffer register with an integer value, and that then will have this ISR get triggered, which then writes to the register and then clears the flag here. And then over here we have my ADC, my initialization for the ADC, which initializes the sample and hold time to 16 clock cycles. And then we have the we first have to set the resolution to 0 and then configure the actual resolution, which is 8 bits, and then have our V reference, positive reference is 3.3 and negative reference is 0 volts here. And then we have my ADC function that gets the actual value from the register here. It first checks to see if the ADC is busy, and if it's not, then it'll break out of this while loop here, and then it will read the ADC result from this register here. And then if the result ends up being 255, it just subtracts 1 from that result, making it 254, because 255 is reserved for the shoot function. And then we end up returning that integer value there. So in my main function, I just have a Boolean button pressed variable here that checks to see if either switch 1 is pressed or switch 2 is pressed. And then I have a delay cycles here, which allows the actual UART to be written to, because I found that it was writing to it too fast, and the shoot function wasn't reliable. It didn't output reliably. So then if I end up pressing the button here, it'll write to the global variable data, be equivalent to shoot, which I have here as a constant 255, and then it sets both the switch 1 and switch 2 pressed to be false. And if anything else, it'll just get the data from the ADC, which moves the plane around, and it'll write that data to it. And then it'll go back and then check for all those other variables. So here I'm going to go ahead and load up the game. So you can see here I have, in the terminal here is printing out the data, so you can see if I move this, it'll change the value. If I shoot it, it'll actually start the game. You can see I can move the plane around. And it works just fine. I can press either switch and it'll shoot either switch 1 or switch 2. I can press switch 1 here. You can see it outputting. Or I can press the switch here and you can see it outputting in the terminal as well.